Welcome back to Roadmap to Wellness. So I have a question for you. Have you ever laid awake at night replaying something you said or didn't say, wishing you could take it back? Or have you ever had that little voice in your head saying you should have known better, you let someone down, or you messed up? That guilty feeling can be pretty uncomfortable, right? And while it can eat away at us sometimes, what if I told you it also has a purpose? In this video, we're going to explore what guilt really is and where it comes from, when it's helpful and when it's harmful, a personal story that has haunted me for years, and how to heal, release it, and move forward with self-compassion. Guilt usually shows up when we believe we've done something wrong or fail to meet our own or someone else's standards. And it can come from a few different places. It can come from breaking a moral code, when we go against our values or society's rules, like lying, cheating, or hurting someone. Even if it is done accidentally, guilt can pop up and say, hey, you crossed a line. It can come from letting someone down. Guilt often shows up when we think we've disappointed someone, like our family, friends, or co-workers. Guilt can arise from unrealistic expectations. Sometimes we feel guilty for things we shouldn't feel guilty for, like resting, saying no, or not being productive 24/7. This guilt often comes with impossible standards that we set for ourselves, or we think we should have if we are to be a good human being. Sometimes it comes from thinking you must always perform things perfectly. Here's a big one: guilt that may come from a critical parent or caregiver. They may have had strong rules and opinions about what is right or wrong. Over time, we internalize those voices and they become a part of our own inner dialogue, even when the situation doesn't call for it. Guilt can even be associated with other emotions. It shows up when someone is grieving or depressed. In the grief process, people often feel guilty that they should have done something differently or something more before the person passed away. Or in the depressed state, one often has persistent negative thoughts about themselves, and oftentimes they feel like they're being a burden, or they fell short, or they didn't accomplish something, so they feel guilty about that. Guilt can also arise if we get something that we don't think we deserve. We feel like we didn't earn it, or we feel like we can never pay it back. And here's a bright side. Guilt shows up because we care. We care about how our actions affect others. It's a sign that we have a moral compass, and that's actually a good thing. So let me share a personal story of my first strong experience with guilt. It used to be a memory that appeared like a pop-up screen in my brain every May until I healed it. I still remember this one moment from when I was a teenager. It was Mother's Day, and I was faced with a difficult choice: stay home with her or go out with my friends who were all planning something fun. I knew which one I was supposed to pick because my mother even said, but today is Mother's Day. But guess which one I went with? I don't even have to say it because you already know. I went with my friends. At the time, it felt huge, like I had to be there or I was going to feel left out and miss out on an amazing experience. In those days, my friends were my whole world. And that's kind of the point, right? As teenagers, we're wired to start exploring independence or making connections with others. It's a part of growing up, figuring out who we are outside of our family. Friends give us a sense of belonging, a chance to try out new identities or test ideas. It's normal and necessary. And normally, this wouldn't even have been an issue at all, except for the fact that it fell on the same day. I went, but the guilt hit me so hard that day that I didn't even enjoy the time being with my friends. I remember when I was on my way back home, I wasn't sure if I could even look at my mother because I felt so bad for my decision. I knew I had hurt her by choosing my friends over her. And honestly, the guilt stuck around for many years. Every Mother's Day, there was this little voice in the back of my mind going, remember that time you went out with your friends instead of hanging out with your mom? That was selfish. I did feel extremely bad for many, many years after, but in graduate school, the gravity of this guilt shifted because of my understanding of my emotions and learning about life stages. Thank goodness for that, because then I was finally able to let it go. So now, while I do feel bad that I did that, I don't feel bad that it happened. Does that make sense? I'm saying that it was good that it happened because it was a lesson that I had to learn, and it was an extremely valuable one to cherish and celebrate not only my mother, but all the people that I love. Ever since that event, I have never missed celebrating her, even if we couldn't always be together because of the distance. So the pop-up screen that appears in my mind every May now is not about feeling guilt for my past actions, but a reminder that Mother's Day will be coming up and to start planning on what to do to celebrate her. And that's the thing about guilt. It can linger, especially when it comes from letting someone down that we care about or breaking an unspoken family rule like Mother's Day is for family. Sometimes guilt is a sign we've crossed the line, but other times it's more about the expectations we've inherited from family, culture, or even our younger selves. And because I've hated this feeling of guilt over the years, I check in with myself when I have to do something so that I don't feel this painful emotion again. I ask myself these 4 questions. Is the decision I have to make morally or ethically wrong? And if it isn't, then will it bother me for years to come if I don't do it? Will it be more important to the other person if I were there, and will it cause damage to the relationship if I'm not? And finally, will it be a huge sacrifice on my part? The answer to these questions help to guide my actions and decisions going forward. And here's the thing. Guilt can actually be useful. I know it feels awful, but as I've stated before, it does have its benefits. Just like I've said in previous videos, emotions are messengers. Guilt can actually help us stay aligned with our values, relationships, and the kind of person we want to be. Guilt in its healthy form is a moral compass. It helps us to recognize when we've hurt someone else, reflect on our actions, motivates us to make amends or change our behavior, and strengthens and deepens our relationships. Because when we take responsibility, it shows that we care. The guilt I felt as a teen did all of these things. Guilt can actually motivate us to do good things for others and societies also. If we see someone in need, guilt might remind us that we can help, even if it's inconvenient. This kind of guilt is healthy because it is also about recognizing our impact on others and being motivated to do better. Guilt can be a motivator for positive action, like volunteering. Sometimes we feel a sense of guilt or responsibility for people who are struggling, and that pushes us to give our time and energy to help. It can help in environmental actions. Feeling guilt for pollution or waste might inspire us to make more sustainable choices. And in speaking up, when we feel guilty about staying silent in the face of injustice, that guilt can inspire us to advocate for others. Okay, but here's where the guilt gets tricky. Sometimes guilt can be excessive. It can also turn into chronic guilt, where you feel guilty all the time, even when you haven't done anything wrong. It can lead to shame, which is deeper and more damaging. Shame says, I'm bad, instead of I did something bad. It can also weigh you down with unrealistic expectations, like feeling guilty for taking care of yourself or for saying no to something that doesn't align with your values. This kind of guilt can show up in so many ways, like at work, if you feel guilty for not being productive 24/7, especially if you've been raised with a strong work ethic. In parenting, when you think you're not doing enough, and in relationships, when you feel guilty for just setting boundaries. Even around self-care, like I should be helping others instead of taking care of myself or resting. Does any of this sound familiar? If so, share in the comments below. When guilt sticks around too long, it stops being useful and makes you feel stressed, always second-guessing what you should do. Much of this may stem from early messages by parents or caregivers. They have heard phrases like, don't be selfish, you always need to help. If it's not perfect, don't bother doing it at all. When taught rigidly, these beliefs can create constant guilt, even when we haven't done anything wrong. All right, so let's talk about healing. How do we actually work through our guilt? Here are some strategies. Here is something I use often when clients feel unwarranted guilt. I tell them that guilt often comes from something you know that is wrong, but you did it anyways. Did you do something that was clearly wrong? Oftentimes they reflect on the situation and the answer is no. So that alone helps them to let it go. Whenever they start to feel guilt, they ask themselves this question each time and release it if they should not be feeling this emotion. Get curious about the emotion. Instead of beating yourself up, ask, what is this guilt about? Is there something I can learn here? Do I need to take action, or can I let this go? If this guilt is telling you, hey, you hurt someone, then own it. Apologize and repair the relationship. Apologies are necessary for rebuilding trust and taking responsibility for your part in the hurt. If you're hearing guilt from a voice that isn't yours, pause and ask, whose expectation is this? Oftentimes we're carrying around expectations that aren't even ours, like societal standards or family beliefs. You're human and you're going to make mistakes. Forgive yourself the way you would forgive a child who is still learning. After you've reflected, repaired, and learned from it, let it go. Forgive yourself and move forward. Holding on to regrets over past mistakes is not helpful or self-loving. So as we wrap up, remember that guilt is a signal. It's there to guide you, not to punish you. When we listen to it, reflect on it, and respond with kindness, guilt can actually help us become more thoughtful, compassionate people. But when we let guilt take over and hold on to it unnecessarily, it just weighs us down. So next time you feel guilty, take a breath, get curious, decide whether it's a helpful nudge or unnecessary noise. And always remember that you're doing your best at that moment. When we know better, we can do better. If this video has helped you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it. Leave a comment if there is anything else you have done that has helped you in letting go of guilt, as it might help someone else. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take care of yourself and be well.